really wanted to do since I've been sitting. I just don't want to knock over the whole thing. Okay, that's better. Okay. It's a crack. You'll see. So, do you remember this? Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. In this little nursery rhyme rested my story, and I think rests more stories than will be admitted. I was consumed with fear of falling apart. I clung to life, and I made plans like crazy. I set goals. I tried to control every facet of my life. And I'm up here right now because I stopped doing that. I stopped trying so hard. I let go. I surrendered, and I accepted the unknown. I jumped, just like Humpty Dumpty. He didn't fall at all. He jumped, and I cracked wide open. So I don't know much. Sometimes I wonder if I know anything at all. I ask questions more than I answer. I don't have a master's, a PhD, and an MD. I'm not a history buff, a political connoisseur, or an accomplished pianist. All that I have, the only knowledge that I have, the only knowledge any of us have, is our direct experience. And that's why I'm here, to talk to you about what I know best, and that's fear. So I'm going to encourage all of you to do what I did, and that was jump into fear. Fall into your fears. Any fear you have, fall right into it. Don't resist it, because the more you do, the less you're living authentically. We're meant to fall and never be fixed again. All the king's men, they can't do anything for us. Why? Because once you shatter into tiny little pieces, you see your heart, you see your truth. Nothing else matters. And nothing in the material world, no person, no thing, no anything, will be able to put you back together again, ever. You're unfixable, as you should be. You see, everything we do, even me on this stage right now, is preparation. Every experience we have, every person we meet, every relationship, every year in school, every dollar we earn, every job, everything is preparation for our fall. Because we need to know what it's like to seek outward and realize nothing will ever fulfill us before we are willing to jump into faith, into the unknown, into the darkness. Because we realize that will never satiate us. We will always be hungry. Our fear is what holds us back. And when we try and eat everything outside of us, what do? We suffer. We suffer. I was suffering. I was in pain. I defined myself by my pain. Because I thought all the things outside would make me happy. And guess what? They didn't. So I want to go back to Humpty Dumpty for a second. Because I think that God puts us all on this planet as Humpty Dumpty. I think being alive is a test. I think he births us into this world with a nice shiny shell and a brain. And he says, see, I'm going to slap you with a culture, a race, a status. I'm going to give that all to you. And over the years, you're just going to accumulate more. Your shell is going to get thicker and thicker and thicker. It's a test. Because I want to see, do you really know what you are? Do you still feel the whisper, the light inside of you? Some of us will go through life with our shell all shiny and thick. And that'll be fine, and you'll die that way. But then there's some of us that know, that feel that hunger. We're not being filled by everything outside. And we know there's more. We know we are more. It is that hunger that forces up that wall, and we jump off, and we fall, and we shatter, and we never want to be the same again. Because we know what we are is God. Every one of us is just a little piece of God, all wrapped up in a different shiny shell. And we tend to define by our difference our status. How much do I know? How much money do I make? It doesn't matter. I knew this vastness, this divinity in me as a child. I was very privileged to be raised by parents who yearned for their children to know what it really was to be here, why we were really here. And so we left our comforts. We sailed on our sailboat most of my life. I'd still go to school, and then one year my parents said, okay, we're homeschooling you, which my mom says was the worst idea she ever had. But we would spend weeks on end on the open ocean. I would see maybe a barge in the distance. My friends were dolphins that swam in the wake of our boat. And I would sit on the bow for hours and hours, looking out. And for a while, all I would concentrate on was the horizon. And then I realized that was really stupid, because there's always going to be a horizon. You can never catch the horizon. So I started appreciating the water right around me, the vastness around me, the depth around me. And I never told anybody this, but I would sit there and I would have a conversation with the ocean. And she would speak to me. And you know what she would say? I'm you, you're me. And I would say, you're me, I'm you. I am that ocean, I am that vastness. So from a young child, I knew that I was that. I was immeasurable, an uncontainable force of infinite love and wisdom, deeper than even the ocean went. But as I came back and I, became a teenager and went to high school, I started to disappear because I became aware of everything I wasn't, and I defined myself as a shell of deficits. I wasn't pretty enough, I wasn't popular enough, I wasn't smart enough, I wasn't athletic enough. I just wasn't plain good enough. So what did I do? I decided, well, the things outside of me will fill me. That's for sure, that'll make it better. Then I'll be like everybody else. So I forgot about my ocean. And I started to define myself by my shell. And I wanted my shell to be as perfect as it possibly could be. So starting at the age of 14, I starved my body. I wouldn't let food pass through my mouth. And I battled with this for over a decade. I was nothing but bones and skin. I considered and planned to end my life several times. But something kept me from doing that. And it was that whisper. I had at least kept her alive enough to say, you're more than this. You're more than this. Don't do that. Don't do that yet. You still got work to do. So then I turned to exercise. Exercise became my drug. And it would numb me every mile I ran, every hour I spent at the gym. Numb the unworthiness and insignificance I felt. But with anything, with this fear, with anything external, it's insatiable. It is never full. So fear is never satiated, like I just said. So when I couldn't run anymore because my knees couldn't handle it, I had exhausted my starvation tactic because everybody was on to me, and that would have meant probably getting thrown in a hospital, and I just couldn't wear that outfit. So I like fashion too much. So I became phobic. See, I defined myself by my shell. My brain, not my higher mind. Higher mind's my ocean. But my brain said, you need to be scared now. See, because death is looming outside of your door. So you can't go anywhere. Don't get on that airplane. I used to call them bombs with wings, because they really are, but let's not tell our children that. So I didn't fly for 7 years. 7 whole years. I missed out on weddings, family reunions, funerals, baby showers, you name it. Anything that had to do with supporting another person, with loving another person. I didn't know how to love anybody because I was filled with fear. And when you're filled with fear, there's no love there. Even my honeymoon was just tainted because of it. We couldn't fly anywhere. So here I couldn't travel anymore. I couldn't exercise really anymore. I couldn't withhold food from myself anymore. I didn't really like people. So if I had to be around them, I would, but I really didn't want to. I'd rather be at home all the time. So I would sit in my house. And I decided, okay, now I'm just going to become obsessed with perfection, which had laced through most of my adolescence into my early adulthood. I'd have the perfect marriage, perfect husband, perfect house, perfect hair, perfect everything. So I decided, okay, I can't do anything. Let me just perfect this house. I was convinced that if anybody walked through my house, they were tainting it. So I would clean for hours. It became my job. I hid it even from my husband. I hid it from everybody, even though they knew. I hid the extremity of it, the extreme of it. My hands would crack and bleed. It was all I could think about. I defined myself by my suffering. I defined myself by my pain. It controlled my brain. I allowed my brain to control every action, every thought, everything. And then I gave birth to my first daughter. And Emma held a great big mirror in front of my face. My blindfold had only started to loosen at that point, but there was a mirror there. The first year was really torturous to navigate with her because part of me wanted to be her guide, show her the glory of life, show her that ocean that I knew was there. But I didn't know how because I was so cloaked in pain. I didn't know how. And so I used her like I did everything else. I ate her just like the car and the house and being clean, right? I didn't let anybody really be around her. Her dad, yes, her grandparents under my supervision, but I wouldn't let anybody just be there. And then 6 years ago, I climbed the wall and I catapulted myself off of it. And I remember the day vividly. I had spread a blanket out on the carpet. I was home alone with Emma. And I put her down, and she was playing, we were playing. And then she started to crawl off the blanket. And I grabbed her by the waist, and I pulled her back with force. This is a 9-month-old child. And she started to cry out of surprise. I pulled her back because I didn't want her hands to get dirty on my untainted carpet. Her cry ripped my blindfold off. I can still feel everything that happened that day right now. My eyes burst wide open. I felt like I got punched in the gut at 100 miles an hour. I gasped for air. I was trembling. I grabbed her and I held her, apologizing, just disgusted and embarrassed, looking down at all the shattered pieces that lay there. My malnourished being, and here I was dragging her with me. And as my mind lay speechless and my body just couldn't do anything, and she just was there, lethargic, something spoke. That ocean, it came right up, and it started to storm, and the waves got really big. You are none of this. You are nothing that you think you are. I am not this mind. I am not this body. I am not this recluse. I am not obsessive compulsive. I am not sick. I am not this mother. I am not this wife. I am not this marriage. I am not this house. I am not this carpet. I am not anything that I think I am. I am nothing. I am everything. I am indestructible. I am infinite. I am immeasurable. I am an ocean of knowledge and wisdom and love. I am not a shell. You see, God, I got the message. I used to pray to God, right? I'd sit on my floor crying, poor me, let me out, make me happy again, poor me, I'm sick. Look, can you help me out? I'm a good citizen. I have a couple speeding tickets. Just help me a little bit here. No answer. You know why? Because the only prayer that will ever be answered is the one you answer yourself. Because you are divinity. That was the precipice to my healing journey. Faith. Trust that I would be cradled even in my brokenness. So I began to recover, and it's a process. It will always be a process. It was a process then, it's a process now, it will be a process in the future because I'm still human, my shell's still here in a way, right? I still have this body and this brain. But I choose to keep my ocean moving, the current rushing, and speaking loud. So that fear can never take over, like it could have tonight. I still felt fearful. Are you kidding me? I was crying this weekend, I can't do this, you know. But I still got up here. I still got up here. So, a journey, my discipline, my yoga is my healing. And I started by going to therapy. And then there was a day I was sitting in the chair, and I've never talked about this out loud, but I was sitting in the chair, and my therapist was wonderful to me, and it served me well while I went, but she was reflecting back my feelings, right, that I already knew. And I thought, okay, so I could sit here and talk, or I could get my ass out of this chair and go out and actually do something about it. I could stop cleaning so much. That's the thing. The choice was in me the whole time. The choice was in me the whole time. You don't have to be this way. So I stopped cleaning so much. I started eating and enjoying it because food is really, really good, especially bread. Sorry. And I got myself on an airplane, shaking, frightened, but I did it. I got myself on an airplane. I even went to Bali last year for 3 weeks. Then to India. My friends joke I did the reverse eat, pray, love thing without knowing it, so now I really should be going to Italy next. And I'm going back to Bali this January to lead a yoga retreat there. And guess who's going to be by my side? My daughter, the one I pulled off the carpet that day. Leading by example, by action. So, you know, if I died tomorrow, that would be okay, because I really think that I've learned the lesson that needs to be learned here in life, which is something nobody can ever take away from me. You could give me all the fame in the world, you know, plaster me with PhDs, lots of money, big house, but all that can go in a second. I have something nobody can ever take away from me. I love myself. I have faith. That's the only thing that will ever leave with us when we go. When our shell really goes, that's all that will ever go with us. You see, the spirit, that ocean, it's not capable of taking. The divine is not capable of taking, only giving. So the process goes like this, the healing process. Find something you love to do and do it with all your might. And not just anything you love to do, something that leaves you empty space. Constantly giving away. Give away your knowledge. Give away your love. That's what we should be doing, giving it away. So that's what I did. I teach, I write, I give it away. And when I give away that love, you know what I'm also doing? I'm telling the truth. Tell the truth. No more hiding. I was sick of hiding. It didn't do any good. Be raw, be open. My teacher, Cheryl Oliver, very dear person to me, taught me a word one day. Shunya, Sanskrit. It means empty. Empty, from which everything and everyone is created. In emptiness is where your heart speaks, your heart guides, and your purpose resides. Dr. Seuss can take that one. But as we grow up, we're told no. Sorry, empty. No, not good enough. You need to be something. You need to be something great. You need to be something better than everybody else. So starts our pursuit outside of ourselves. So starts our suffering. So starts our clinging to the wall. Our fear of falling apart, of letting our shell break wide open. One day in Bali, there was an email waiting for me in my inbox. I remember that little girl that used to sit on the bow of the boat, ready for whatever the adventure would bring. I knew she was always in there, and I knew she would return, and she has. I love you, Dad. My favorite quote of all comes from a verse in Leonard Cohen's song Anthem, and it goes like this. I'm not going to sing it, sorry. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's how my light got out. I'm not broken anymore. I'm cracked. I'm rearranged in a way that the first thing I see of myself and the first thing everybody sees of me is my heart. That's why I'm able to help, to guide, to inspire. Because I'm just an empty, vast ocean, waiting to talk, waiting to hear. There's a teaching from the Talmud I learned as a little girl, and I still hold it next to me, within me, everywhere around me. It's plastered on every email I send, even on one of the shirts I wear. Save one life, save the world entire. The life I saved was my own. All because I did what Humpty Dumpty did. I jumped off that wall, I fell, and I cracked wide open, and I was unfixable. I was transformed. I am divine. You are too. You can do exactly what I did. All you have to do is just let go.